All right, we're back on another episode of Salient Points. This one's number 114 for June 20th, 2023. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan?
Shirt-covered Mario cans. The one and only.
Okay, maybe you guys will find out. So the master of shirt-colored Marios, Macias.
Color?
Dalan.
No. We're changing the name right now. The Master of Confusion.
Okay, Master of Confusion. All right, I got you. I hope I'm not like Psyduck, though, where I'm hurting myself in my confusion. I hope it's a very painless confusion state. And we also got Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
We got you working on Juneteenth, Dalan. I hope your real work.
I didn't work today.
This is work right here, man. This is work right here. Yeah, it was very hard to get you to come on board. To be honest, like, I got family members. I got this. I got that. I have no ETA. Like, it's all up in the air, and we're like, me and Luis were off wax. We're like, what are we gonna do? Dalan gave us a no ETA. But look, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making the time, Dalan. Luis Mendez.
As of the date of this recording, we recorded on Juneteenth, just so people are aware.
There you go. And then Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel, of course. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Taking time off of Honkai Star Rail to be here, but
okay, there you go. We'll hear you talk about that a little bit, right? And Dale Blas, as you guys can see, he's not here. He's kind of dealing with the the situation. He'll be back, I'm sure, at some point. But we wish him the best. And what's going on? We won't give we won't dox the man or nothing, But we wish him the best, and I'm sure we'll see him soon. But we'll get right to it, Dalan. I know you doxed this man, Jet. We know who he is.
He was undoxed.
He was undoxed. Okay, well, if you go back a few episodes, I'm sure you can find out exactly who this man is. But for now, he's apparently undoxed. You can rewind the internet. But Jet returns, and like you can, if you go on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, I'm sure you'll get on this on the podcast right here. Like, we're gonna read like a tome from Jet right now. So thank you, Jet. After a couple weeks, he's like, let me write a whole little story.
Build up.
So there's a whole build up. But Jet says, damn, diatribe, y'all went there. I'm here for another episode of Dalan's detailed diatribes, albeit a week late, and we all know that Dalan owns a Switch, but he doesn't really fuck with his Switch. When you consider the price of the Apple VR thing, though, it's the cost of an Air Mac combined with an iPhone. I think it'll be useful for architects or engineers, people who do art for work, to be able to see their projects in a 3D space. It's essentially the Tony Stark Holo projector, but aside from, by the way, I'm reading like how he's writing this, all right? I'm not correcting anything, so if you guys are like, what the but aside from that aspect, I don't really see a point to it. Also, driving in the goggles is going to be the second thing people do. The first thing they'll do is going to be on Pornhub. We all know it. They don't need advertisements for Final Fantasy XVI. The people that plan to buy it day one are already counting down the days. They can save their money on advertisements. I have a lot of trouble with the stick pin on the Street Fighter combos. I always end up jumping and the combo fails. Also, all y'all got your what you been playing with 30 minutes left in the video. Shaking my head. Dalan, you know this man best. Can you please respond to one of his points, or maybe a couple, What do you got to say to this person here?
Don't worry about diatribes. I love my diatribes. Nobody gives a fuck about those Apple goggles. They're too much, and they're definitely for rich people. So regardless of what they do with them, regular Joe Schmoes like myself and Jet will not be having one anytime soon. And you're trash at Street Fighter.
Ooh.
Hey, Jet is the same man who challenged me in Marvel vs. Capcom and then put the sticks down after a couple of rounds.
Hey, I'm still waiting.
Final Fantasy?
Okay.
Final Fantasy 16. I'm pretty sure there's already copies out in the wild.
We're gonna talk about it. That's one of the quick headlines. That's one of the quick headlines. It is out there. We'll talk a little bit about it. One of the first stories we got on here. Luis, what do you think of this man Jet? Maybe something Dalan didn't hit on, or maybe you want to double down on the hate somewhere there.
Yeah, I don't think Apple is marketing the Apple Vision Pro. I hate that name so much. To the regular sort of audience. They're targeting this to people that are in the space that they can use it for, whether it's design or 3D modeling or whatever, or just tech enthusiasts that have like money to burn. So
a lot of money to burn.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I'm probably gonna get one day one, and I
Okay,
do
okay.
think that people will use it mostly for just watching stuff. Honestly, like I can't wait to put that thing on and put myself in the movie theater like experience and kind of just remove the whole world for a little bit. That might be a little difficult though, because the battery life is 2 hours according to Apple.
It
So
just-
Okay,
that's the one thing where
reasonable.
I'm like, ah, damn, dude, should I get it? Because I know whatever version they come out with next is gonna get a better
Also,
battery life.
man, you can already do that in a PlayStation VR, man. Just ask Brian. I
yeah.
think we told the story on the podcast before, but just ask Brian how it feels like to be in there for 3-4 hours, man. And there's
Yeah, that's
nothing
playing
there.
a game though.
Well,
That's playing a
but
game.
even a movie though, even a movie. But you know what? I'm gonna encourage you, Luis, to get it. You know why? Because I'm gonna be over at your house trying it out. So please, please, just get it, man. Why not? What do you got to? What do you
Hey.
got to lose? What do you have to
Hey,
lose?
you
All right.
you get one, we will have an Apple Pro party at
A
your
party
house.
on
Oh,
Jelly's.
see, okay.
Okay,
I'll make
reason.
all of you sign a waiver that if this piece of
A piece
property
of
gets
shit if
damaged,
it sets your head on fire.
I will. I
no,
hold
no,
on.
if you guys damage it, you will have to pay for
Okay,
the
reasonable.
damage.
Hey,
That's
there's
all.
gonna be an entrance fee. There's gonna be an entrance fee. It's like, okay, there's a little entrance fee just to let you guys know. All right, Jet. Well, thank you very much. Like you said.
Well,
And
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Luis.
we
Go
both
ahead.
have an and.
Okay. Go ahead,
I
Luis, and then
do.
David.
You had plenty of ands. I have one and.
I know. Come on.
Is I do think I think if he's saying what I think he's saying with that last statement, the 30 minutes left on the video, I do think we've been wilding with the what you've been playing. They used to be sort of quick and sweet and whatever, half an hour on what you've been playing. Like maybe we should actually finally rip that out as its own sort of episode.
Okay, we
Drop
did it a
midweek
couple
or
times. We've done it a couple times because it also sometimes you feel like a pressure of like, damn, this episode's running long. Whereas if it's like, okay, it's cutting out, and then just tell us everything, Dalan. What are all the side missions you got to do this week? Yeah, maybe. Okay, but thank you for that. See, look, Jet. Very constructive feedback, and if you guys, anyone else listening, you guys got some feedback, we'll make sure to throw it in here. Dalan, you got one more thing here? You said multiples, but give you one.
It's only the one. He touched base on me playing my Switch. He says I don't really mess with it. I do play my Switch more than I play my PSVR, which is straight up collecting dust. I will say that.
Okay, good point, Dalan. Very fair point. Hey, look, the big thing this week, I know you guys didn't seem to put a yes on this one, so we'll move on very quickly. But Final Fantasy XVI is here. It's going to be out in 2 days. I'm pretty hyped. The last time a main series, mainstream, what is it? Mainline. Thank you, Dalan, for the backup. A mainline Final Fantasy 15,
You're
dropped
on your own.
November 29th, 2016. So it's been 7 years since the last one. I did like that they threw out a little bit of smoke. I don't know if it was, but I'd like to think that there's like some sibling rivalry between Final Fantasy 15 and the remake project or whatever of Final Fantasy 7, because as we found out last week, it's Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. It's gonna be on 2 discs, and I like how Naoki Yoshida said to Famitsu, and this was via The Gamer, he said, quote, Final Fantasy 16 was initially run as a 2-disc set. About a half a year before the release, we thought it might just fit on 1 disc, so we wanted to keep manufacturing costs down and avoid rushing the master up, and managed to fit it on 1 disc. So I don't know if that's a little bit of smoke. I'd like to think there is. Like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we fit it on 1 disc, no problem. But we will throw a little bit of smoke his way, though, because these mans said that this game was ready, no day 1 patch needed. Well, guess what? There's going to be a day 1 patch for Final Fantasy 16. They say you don't need it to run the game, but the lies we weave. There's also going to be a new game plus called Final Fantasy Mode, and there's already some copies out in the wild. By the way, I checked a local stores in the area that don't respect the breaking street date. They don't have it, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I'm sure you could grab yourself a copy.
You were like, I want it. You wanted
keep
it immediately.
Please keep it spoiler free out there. But yeah, be careful because they are out there. And I don't think I've seen anything too crazy out there. Maybe because the websites haven't been publishing stuff. But I'm surprised you don't have any thoughts on this, Dalan. You must not be a Final Fantasy fan. All right, you must not like JRPGs at all, sir.
No, I already touched base on this with my 30-minute long thing on.
That's why you're keeping it down?
Yeah.
All right, well, this thing is out in a couple days. I'm pretty hyped, man. I'm sure I'm going to probably put everything away, and I'm like, let me just get down with this, all right? And so you guys, I'm sure I'll have some feedback next week. The next thing we have on here, speaking of VR and goggles and all that, Microsoft has kind of come out and said the market is too small for them to even care. They didn't say it in those words, but to me, I'm reading it that way, where it's like they don't care enough about because it's not big enough. Matt Booty, who is head of Xbox Game Studios, told The Hollywood Reporter, quote, I think for us, it's just a bit of a wait until there's an audience there. We're very fortunate that we have got these big IPs that have turned into ongoing franchises with big communities. We have 10 games that have achieved over 10 million players life to date, which is a pretty big accomplishment, but that's the kind of scale that we need to see success for the game, and it's just not quite there yet with AR and VR. So yeah, I think that's kind of what it is. I mean, these things have made big splashes, right? Especially with PSVR 1 and then the MetaQuest, the fact that that's a wireless solution, and then Apple, as crazy as it sounds that they're making a $3,500 like headset, there's a cachet of Apple finally getting into it, right? And it's like, some people will jump into it and otherwise, but we'll go to Luis first on this one. What do you make of this, that Microsoft is saying the market is too small for them to even care, or to dip into it, I guess is their wording?
Yeah, I do like that he had to, instead of just kind of answering the question directly, he had to sort of puff his chest out and be like, yeah, but we have 10 games with 10 million users, and that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. Yeah. Which, to that point, we're a long ways away from that, dude. I don't think any game is reaching that user base anytime soon. But yeah, I don't blame them. They're like, let these people kind of hash it out, get the audience kind of popping off, and then we'll pour money into this thing when it's ready. And
it's a little disingenuous, right? Because they have messed with AR stuff. They just kind of have shelved it for now, right? Yeah. Which this Apple thing is sort of like AR VR, right? It's kind of like a mix of both in a way, right? Because you can kind of see through it and
yeah,
that kind
people
of thing,
have different names for it. I don't think the industry is gathered on one sort of term for it. It's AR/VR, MR, or XR. They all kind of mean the same thing, though.
Yeah. Oh, XR. I hadn't heard that one because I know they've called it mixed reality, right? It's one of the MR, right? But XR is kind of interesting. I think that's one to go with. Dalan, what do you think, man? What do you make of this situation?
Well, and I know there is a distinct difference between AR and VR, but XR and MR, I haven't really heard those terms, though. Saying mixed reality, that sounds more like AR to me. But in either case, Microsoft deciding to actually step away from it, in my opinion, was the best idea, because I kept saying it from the jump before VR decided to make its 7th major comeback in the consumer market, is that it is, I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if people are interested enough. I don't know if enough people have enough money to buy this equipment and just be like, all right, I could justify this choice. Because I'll tell you right now, I don't want to justify that choice. I literally just spoke about how my PSVR is collecting dust, and I knew it would, but I bought it anyway.
Well, there you are. They still got to convince us. Now we have a new entry, a new challenger, so to speak, with the Vision Pro or whatever the Apple thing is called, and that's at the extremes, right? Where you have the market has been trying to price it down as cheap as possible. Apple's like, man, fuck all that. We're gonna go to the extreme. We're $3,500, please.
That's where everyone's trying to go. Is the thing. Everything they're packing into that thing is where it will be headed eventually, and they just decided to cut straight to them and be like, this is what it costs right now, man. If you guys want it, then... Okay. But yeah, whereas you have people like Meta that are trying to pack as much as possible while reducing the price, they're going to get there eventually. But, it's going to be a while.
Well, and even Meta has been tricky about it, right? It's like, today it's 500. Tomorrow is 400. We don't know. We got a third option. So even then, they're not even really sure, right? Like they're all trying to figure it out. But I think that's a fair point to say that Apple's like, you know what? This is it, man. This is what we're trying to get to Do you want it or not? And sign the waiver when you go to Luis's house when he picks it up.
At this point, it's real.
Yeah, at this point, this is what it is. Next thing we have on here is that 30 frames per second does not mean a game is quote-unquote unfinished, says senior artist on God of War Ragnarok, who was Danny Carlone, a senior staff environment artist at Sony Santa Monica. They said, quote, "We wanted to clarify it's not a sign of an unfinished game, it's a choice." And I think he was answering some guy on the internet. I'm not really sure who he was, but I think he had a big enough audience to where he had to kind of retract his statement. It was like, he had to delete his tweet. But I do think, I mean, of course we want 60 frames, especially because that's what these consoles promised, right? At the very beginning, when we were getting a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, like everything's 60 frames, everything's 60 frames. And then we get, Starfall, like, confirmed. Todd Howard finally confirmed, right? Last week we spoke on it, that it's going to be 30 frames, right? But I think it's fair that this, this artist at Sony Santa Monica said it's like, it's a choice. They made a choice that they're going to give you all this and randomly generated planets that Carlos will never go to, but it's going to cost. It's 30 frames. We got to give it to you as 30 frames. Luis, you're our resident expert game developer here on the podcast. What do you make of this?
Resident expert?
Kinda. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's no doubt that the new hardware we have now makes it easier to get to that point, but it's still a hard thing to do, especially with games of that scale. You kind of do, I don't know how early on or what at one point in development they decided to reach that threshold, but it is a decision. At some point you're like, okay, if we want to make this game, this is our sort of threshold we're trying to reach right here. So yeah.
And I mean, you want them to make it kind of like steady and locked. They basically said it's locked. It's locked at 30. So hopefully we don't get those dips into 18 frames or 10 frames or whatever. But I do like how the internet has kind of ran away with it. And they're like, oh, it's because of sandwiches. They got to be able to make all these sandwiches. They got to put these sandwiches on the table or whatever. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out. You can tell the difference. I like how even like, my daughter, she was playing Tomb Raider, and that has different like performance modes in that game, and we were in the settings, and I was like, hey, have you tried this? And she's like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, okay, well, switch that. And I like switched to better frames, and I was like, all right, go back out, try it. And she's like, what? This feels like so much better. Even someone who's like not technically inclined, right? She doesn't care about frames. She doesn't know what that means. She was like, this is so much better. It's so much smoother. So, we'll see. We'll find out. Of course, we're going to be able to tell the difference when we have a bunch of games that already kind of run at 60 frames, or at least give you that option, right? But look, my body is ready, man, for some Starfield. 30, 60 frames. Just give it to me. We'll move into quick takes. The first thing on quick takes that we have is that there's going to be a new PlayStation 5 console bundle to include 24 months of PlayStation Plus Premium, or like Jet likes to call it, plus the Preem. So that's kind of interesting, right? Like, they don't have to include a game, but they're including a bunch of games, right? And they're already kind of getting people into the ecosystem, because I'm sure as soon as you plug that thing in, there's gonna be, okay, log into the network, get your games, and then you just have someone that's hooked for 2 years. That's a pretty good deal. What do you make of this, Dalan, that Sony's kind of planning this?
Well, amidst COVID, when the PS5 dropped, I remember there was what was it called? The State of Play, or the Days of Play, or something like that. And they gave you 18 free games as soon as the PlayStation 5 came out. And very recently, they decided that they're taking these games off. And that is because they have decided to put that on the Plus to Breed. So if you get yourself a nice little bundle, you get those same games, but you don't get to keep them now.
Yeah.
And I know one of the games for sure that came with that bundle was the 2016 God of War. So if anybody really wants to play God of War on PS5, buy yourself a bundle, especially if you don't have the PS5 already. It is honestly a good price, because I believe it dropped originally at like $600.
Yeah. Well, it was like a PlayStation library or something like that, right? Like, it's like you have a 25 titles or whatever. But remember, it's always a business, right? They're taking things away to give them to you in a new way, to sell them to you in a new way, right? It's kind of always the thing.
That's what's happening here. It's just, they've repackaged it.
But when you think about it, man, can you imagine, like, let's say little 10-year-old Dalan having his Genesis?
That's a weird way to say that.
Just a little Dalan Dalen, 10-year-old Dalen, like on Christmas Day, opening up his PlayStation or, his Nintendo, his Genesis, his Super Nintendo. And it's like, they used to pack in one single game, right? They were free to play. Like you like to say, Dalen, free to play. Pay $60 and it's free to play. Direct quote from Dalen. But imagine, like, they used to bundle a game in. You used to have your fun with that one game. Now they're bundling it with 2 years worth of free games, man. Imagine, like, how it's just kind of interesting where the industry has gone, right? Whereas,
but imagine you buy 2 years worth, and then 2 years from now, you're like, damn, I didn't get through all 25 titles, and now I'll never get to play it because I'm not renewing my subscription.
Yeah, but that's fine, man. And I'm pretty sure they're gonna convince more people than they're not gonna convince them with this. Where like, I already have it. Oh yeah, I did enjoy those 2 years. I did enjoy those 24 months of Plus Supreme. I guess I'll give them some more cash. Luis, what do you make of this situation?
Yeah, I don't think the people that never had a PS5 that didn't get to claim those games don't have to worry because they never had them in the first place, and now they could have them for free for 2 years. But yeah, I think this is Sony's way of like, I think it's actually pretty smart. I wouldn't have ever thought that they would do this, but their way to sort of catch up to Game Pass. They're trying to get people hooked on the Game Pass sort of style of you buy this digital library that kind of cycles in and out of games to play, and then 2 years from now you'll be like, oh, this new game that's coming out that I want to play because I'm finishing this one that I already have, maybe I'll get another year or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a smart move on them, and we don't have anything to worry about because we either claimed the games we wanted or we already had them in to begin with. So.
Yeah,
no, I'm still hearing Carlos juggle the want for the PlayStation Premium. I've heard you juggle it.
Yeah, because I what I've been doing, I don't suggest people do it because I haven't really mathed it out that well, to be honest. But I let my PlayStation lapse basically or whatever, and then I'll give myself like a 3-month code. I'm like, all right, if something good comes out on Plus Supreme, I'll upgrade to this prorated rate of $2.11 for this week to play that game. Which I did it with Tsushima and I did it with Humanity. So Humanity and Tsushima, I finally beat Tsushima because it had run out by the time I was finishing Tsushima, and then and renewed with Humanity, went back to Tsushima and offer the low princely sum of $5.12 or whatever it was. I don't know, man. I just like how wacky they are with prorating this crap. But I think it's pretty smart, man, and it's kind of expensive if you're thinking of paying like for a full year of Plus Supreme. So the fact that they're including 2 years, it's like it gets people in, man. It gets people in right away. You download a game as soon as you get your Sony box and you're ready to go. The next thing we have on here is Henry Cavill says goodbye to the Witcher castmates, to his co-stars. He said, quote, you guys bring so much nuance and detail to these characters, which are often at risk of being oversimplified, and what you guys have done with the characters has involved work, care, and effort, and believe me, working with you guys was the biggest pleasure. So I just want to say I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you very much. And because he's leaving The Witcher, right? He's done with that. He's done with... Was this the show that he was working on and they had to like delete his mustache or something? Or no, it was when Mission Impossible and Justice League.
Yeah, it was Mission
like
Impossible.
Yeah, okay. He was doing Mission Impossible and Superman. So on Superman for Dawn of Justice, they had to edit out his not Justice
Batman.
League. They had to edit out his mustache because he was contractually obligated to have a mustache for Mission Impossible.
I like that kind of wackiness. I know the thing that people pulled out from his quote though was that these characters which are often at risk at being oversimplified. So, and I think that's one of the reasons he didn't kind of continue working on it, right? Was the fact that they were like, they're simplifying. They're like, this beautiful Witcher work from the books or whatever is being so simplified. So I think he moved on. But I think that's like the big thing that people took from it. Luis, what do you think? What do you think about this? He moving on from the Witcher show.
Like Dalan was gonna say something. I thought he put a
yes in here. Yeah, I did put a yes.
Okay, Dalan, go ahead, Dalan. Or you don't have to type it in. We know it's a yes, Dalan. I mean,
I will say I do recall how oversimplified they tried to actually make it, and there was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that they just don't release in regards to what happened, because Henry Cavill, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I apologize. We love you, man. But in pronouncing his last name, and him being the Witcher, they pretty much pushed him out of the role simply because he was too passionate for the role. The director was saying he was too hard to work with because he was trying to be too accurate to the books, and everybody else is like, That's fine. Why don't you just make it like the story is? But nah, the director wasn't having it, so there's too much pushback. They decided to throw his butt out of the scene. But I believe The Witcher season 3 is either coming. I think it's coming out, and he's still The Witcher there, and hopefully they finish enough of the story to not have to wait.
I think they still plan on running with it, man. I think they still got like seasons to go, right? Even without the man. Luis,
they're talking about replacing him entirely. I think they already have somebody.
Luis, what do you think, man? What do you make of this?
Yeah, that's just rough to like know that that's what people want, right? When you're adapting anything to the screen, like try to be as faithful to it and try to represent it faithfully, I guess. And then you finally get someone that's the lead on the show, character at least, that wants to try to help the production kind of get to that point, and they're like, whoa, you're doing too much. So yeah.
So what do you mean? I'm doing the correct amount, but they're like, no, I don't want it.
I'm trying to be clear. I'm trying to be here and present. Next thing we have on here is that Hideo Kojima is going to be deeply involved with the upcoming Death Stranding film adaptation. He said, quote, "Just to be clear, I am deeply involved in producing, supervising, plotting, look, design, and content of the film adaptation of Death Stranding, just not in charge of directing." He also wants to leave Earth to, quote, "make a game you can play in space," end quote. This man is just trying to get a free right to space, so to be honest. He's like, I'm pretty sure he can imagine space and make a video game around it, Hideo, but he says he wants to go up in space and figure that out. Dalan, we'll go to you, man. What are you thinking of this?
Anytime Hideo Kojima is involved, it's gonna get wacky. And this is just the epitome of who he is. He wants to do things his way, and if it does not happen his way, it's probably going to crash and burn. Because I saw what happened to Castlevania 2, Lords of Shadow. It crashed and burned when they kicked him out.
Then, he was involved originally? I gotta look this information up, Dalan.
It was Kojima Productions for Lords of Shadow 1.
Okay.
And
then,
then I guess... Yeah, it was.
Okay. We'll come back to that.
100%.
Okay. It's on wax, Dalan. I mean, I'm saying I want to further investigate. So
Alright, fine.
We'll take it with a grain of salt. Okay.
But the fact is, halfway through the making of Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, they cast out Hideo Kojima. Then, like, half the team left, and then they got a trash game and basically killed the Castlevania series. I believe that Silent Hill was announced. Everybody was excited because Hideo Kojima was involved. Then suddenly they scrapped that project. We got Death Stranding, but everybody was upset because, Konami messed up again. So, fact is, once you got Hideo Kojima involved, if he has full license to do what he needs to do, you're going to come out with something great.
All right, we're going to find out. Because sometimes I think the creators are a little too close to their own creation when it's being adapted to something else. But we're going to find out. You're too close, man. You're too close. Luis, what do you make of this?
I vaguely remember hearing about a Death Stranding film adaptation, but I could just be imagining that. So this might be the first time I'm hearing about it, but it's cool to...
He's like, what?
They mentioned it before.
Okay, so maybe I did hear about it, but then I guess I just forgot about it. But yeah, that's cool that he's kind of involved in that. That'll be interesting. If they get Norman Reedus for that too, I mean, obviously he would love to play that role. Everybody that's on there, they're all real actors, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm pretty sure they did. Didn't they do motion capture for that game?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, they did motion capture, but that is an interesting point, right? These are all legitimate like actors, right?
Real actors.
Like, yeah, so yeah, you would think it's like maybe what do they do? They're really just gonna recast all these people, or are they just gonna use the same folks? So I guess we'll see what happens. We haven't heard about casting situations.
I don't know about this space thing though, but he's been posting pictures online on his Twitter with a bunch of random people. I'm like, why are they like a few weeks ago? He posted a picture with Nicolas Cage was in the studio. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. How are you guys involved together? So,
yeah,
maybe they're in space. Who knows?
Like I said, let Hideo do what he wants, and you'll get something great.
Well, look, he's over here talking about someone send them to space, though. though. He wants someone to send him to space. So he's working on something. Whether it's not making a game, he's working his way up to space at least or something. He's gonna kind of hitch a ride at some point. Look, in movie-related, TV-related news as well, Ghost of Tsushima director, who is the same, I didn't put his name down, I should have, but it's the same director of John Wick 4. He's looking for ways to expand the series or the franchise into sequels and TV spin-offs. So I like the game. I like the story that was being told in the game. The guy jumps around like Sly Cooper, like I keep saying. But I guess I don't know. We'll see, right? I think you got to make one thing, like one foot in front of the other, right? Before it's like, let's make spin-offs, let's make sequels. But maybe I hope this is just confidence that they're doing something special with the Ghost of Tsushima film, and then that can be expanded into other things. Go ahead, Dalan. I was going to go to you. Don't worry.
Chad Stahelski.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. So what do you make of
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Chad Stahelski saying that there's just going to be spin-offs already?
Quite honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about spin-offs, but having a series of movies, because we saw what he did with John Wick, and I'm down for him to bring that depth to Ghost of Tsushima, because by itself, Ghost of Tsushima was an excellent story. I don't know about their multiplayer bullshit, leave that out of it, but the rest of it, just for the main storyline, it was a great samurai story, and I would love to see what you can do with it.
I will say, Dalan, the story of John Wick is a man's puppy dies and then punch, 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 kick for like 4 movies, right? Like that's the plot of John Wick's 1 through 4.
Hey man, the whole time he's trying to get out.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to punch, punch, kick his way, but
I mean,
it's not a lot. It's not a lot going on. It's not a lot going on. It's not a lot going on. I love those movies, by the way. Just to say, I love the John Wick movies.
It doesn't take a lot to follow what's happening. You killed my dog and stole my car. I'm coming for you.
Yeah, and I love the John Wick movies. Trust me, I've loved every single one. But there's not a lot going on there. Luis, what do you make of this situation here?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess it falls in line with. I don't know if he's spoken with Sony at all about this, but it falls in line with what they, seem like they're trying to do: create films or TV series out of their properties. So I don't know. Maybe they'll talk about it. But that was my first thought. Was that he really probably just saw Ghost of Tsushima because the story it wasn't amazing or anything. There was a story there, and I did like it. But the first thought was he just wants to choreograph some crazy ass sound.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why he's perfect. Maybe that's why he's just wants to do some cool ass shit, man, with swords.
So as long as they don't ruin it, because honestly, I played the game and I played the expansion that's the prequel to the game within the game, I guess. And I don't think there's many loose ends there, man. I think they tied everything up pretty nicely. Yeah. So I don't want them to kind of ruin. By adding stuff that isn't necessary,
Right, what was the studio name that they used for John Wick? It was 828.
I'm not sure about any of that.
Yeah, I can't remember who they did the choreographing.
They did some great action. Yeah, they did some great action there. The next thing we have on here, in the space, mostly a report from Steven Totilo from Axios. One of the big things that he reported on is that Microsoft is basically saying Arkane is quote-unquote currently safe. So, look, if you guys want more Arkane-ass arcade games, they're coming. Just because Redfall was a failure,
don't worry.
they're safe. But I do like how Michael, who we've quoted a couple times here on the podcast, he's Legacy Killer HD on Twitter, he said, quote, "Kind of wild how quickly we went from Arkane Austin being one of the more underrated game studios in this industry to this. Microsoft saying they won't shut them down over Redfall. Didn't even think that was a possibility. Jesus. So they're safe. If you guys like Arkane as arcade games, they're still gonna make them. All right. So, apparently they're still kind of working on Redfall. You would think they're like quietly updating it, and it's like hopefully people forget eventually and then just move on, right? Because as we reported here on Salient Points before, they were basically saying like, we hope Microsoft cancels it. Once that Microsoft acquired them, right? They were hoping it was canceled, but here we are. But they're pretty good. Well, I think they just fall into Microsoft's plans, right? You don't make these big acquisitions to just like dump all these studios, and I don't think they've shut down anybody, right? I think they've pretty much kept everyone. Is it Sony kind of the ones that are chopping off everyone's heads. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyways, as far as Arkane, they're pretty good. You'll get your Arkane-ass Arkane games going forward. The next thing we have on here is that romance is not going to be a big focus of Cyberpunk 2077 expansion. The director of the sequel is going to... The director of the DLC is going to do the sequel for the game, and they're kind of working towards a no crunch policy, so hopefully that's good, but that means we won't see Cyberpunk 2077-2, you know, like that 10-2
until 2077.
Until 2077, right? But hey, I don't know, we'll see. I hope that this expansion is a good thing, and if it's a good expansion, then it's things of you know, good things to come, and they can finally overcome their odyssey of like us shitting on them for like the last 3 years, right? So Luis, what do you make of this, man? What do you make of what's going on over here with the expansion or otherwise?
Yeah, I haven't played this game yet. I know I bought it on some platform when it was on sale. I got to figure out what platform that was. I don't know if it was on PC or PlayStation or what.
There's that Mario
but I
shirt.
do remember that Twitter was kind of blowing up, even through all the sort of the storm of what was going on with the game. It was still blowing up with people sort of, no pun intended, but enamored with the romances in the game of like, man, I'm trying to get with this chick and she just won't let me, kind of stuff.
Let me get it and then failing.
Yeah, I guess if it's not a focus and they kind of want to, you know, just focus on the story, combat, whatever, I'm cool with that. You know, I feel like people can restart and pick another faction or whatever and try to romance their way.
Yeah, and it wasn't too complicated. I remember like for some of the trophies that you had to get, you kind of were like romance this person. A lot of it was like, oh, this is a straight character and they're not gonna like you if you're straight, so it's gotta be a gay. It was kind of like that kind of stuff, which is, it was cool. It's kind of interesting, but if they don't go down that path, that's also perfectly fine, right? Kind of like you were saying, if they just focus on the mechanics of it in the game. But look, it's still there. It's still there. The original game, if you're interested, it's not too complicated, but it is one of those things. From what I remember, it's like, you know, you open up this quest line, but it'll cancel this other thing, kind of thing. So keep a bunch of saves. And just like my favorite Western RPGs, you can have like 70 saves, all right? You're like, which one was the one that I got to go far enough back to change that, right? The next thing we have on here is that Sheng Long finally shows up in Street Fighter VI in World Tour mode. And if you guys don't know, this was one of the things that back in the day when Street Fighter 2 came out, it was one of those like April Fool's things at EGM. You know, back when magazines, the lead time was like a month, 2 months out. Electronic Gaming Monthly was like, you can unlock Sheng Long by defeating this enemy this certain kind of way or something like that, or going undefeated, like some kind of impossible feat. And people actually did it, and they were like, dude, I didn't unlock Sheng Long, and they were like, it was an Easter egg. But for Sheng Long, he finally shows up in Street Fighter 6, and I try to look up the requirement, but since, you know, I'll talk about it in what you've been playing, but I kind of rage quit World Tour mode, and I was like, the way that you do it, you got to go up to one of the towers, and he's like level 99. I'm like, never doing that. We'll never get Sheng Long. But maybe Dalan when you jump into the game. But yeah, Sheng Long is on there if you guys are interested. Next thing we have on here is that Moving Out 2 drops in August. I spent quite a bit of time with me and my child playing this game, moving couches, throwing them out of windows and breaking windows. Like, we're like the worst moving company ever when you're playing this game. But it was a fun enough little game, man. Dalan, this has a special place in your heart. The first one, you're excited about a sequel?
No, I didn't know about Moving Out until about 2 weeks ago. And I was thinking to myself, we should really play this game because I found out it's on the PlayStation Plus for free. Okay. So if you guys are down, I'm down to actually try this game, especially now that you said how much fun it is. So depending on how much fun part 1 is.
Well, it's what's that game? Overcooked? It's basically Overcooked but with
yeah, I saw the video
with furniture.
But I'm like, it looks like fun. It looks like wacky fun.
It has online play. Yeah, I think they added online play at some point or something. Or I don't know if they had it from the beginning. But yeah, we can kind of tinker with it, Dalan, if you're interested. Especially
Carlos,
if it's on Plus.
Let's do it.
All right, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Maybe Luis, maybe
Luis,
Dale.
You down?
Maybe Luis, maybe Dale wants to kind of jump in here.
Well, Moving Out? Maybe.
It's a smaller, wacky game. You get to yell at us for like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, we could try it out. Next
I'll
thing
use my landlord voice.
Okay. Oh, okay, Dalan. Landlordvoice.com. Next thing we have on here is that Tango Gameworks is thanking their fans of Ghostwire Tokyo players. They said on Twitter, from everyone at Tango Gameworks, thank you to 5 million fans who have played Ghostwire Tokyo. Please enjoy this commemorative artwork by concept artist Kenta Muramatsu. It did a kind of a cool little artist rendering, and it said thank you to 5 million fans. You guys have talked about it, and I still have yet to play it. I will get around to it at some point. But what do you make of this, Lise? The fact that they're like, hey, 5 million. I like how it's kind of tricky though, right? How it says played. It doesn't necessarily mean sold, or because sometimes they'll do it with like copies sold as like copies sold through to the stores. Like, but that's not the same as selling 5 million copies. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting, the wording of it, but it's a milestone for them, I guess. It's got to be some kind of milestone. 5 million fans have played the game. But what do you make of this?
Yeah, I'm glad that other people, including myself, actually wound up playing this game and liking it. Because I do feel like it could be the start of a new franchise, but we'll see. You definitely should try to bump this up on the queue before at least Plus Supreme, I think.
Okay.
Especially I didn't realize it was part of, because the one on Plus Supreme includes the bonus content they dropped after the game launched. So I went into a mission not realizing it was part of the bonus content, but no, I won't say what it is. It's nice to, but that alone was its nice little kind of side story that I think on its own stands on its own pretty well, aside from the whole game. So
okay, I gotta mess with it. I gotta mess with it, man. Dalan, what do you make of this?
I think I said it once before, and even as Luis was talking, I was thinking about it out loud in my head. Wow, that sounded weird. But
continue, sir. Continue,
out loud
please.
In my head. But the main story for the game, probably not so great. But those side quests stay with you. That game turns out to be just excellent. So I'll say no thank you, Tango, for giving us this wonderful freaking game.
Okay. Dalan busted out the no you Uno card. No you. Return to you, sir.
No, but Tango did the same thing that I think I think it's level 5 that makes the Persona games. They're like, you know what? We're just going to make our game. We're going to put it together. If you don't like it, that's fine. We made a game that we wanted to make. And it's not for everybody, but it's a great game. It doesn't have an English dialogue for anybody to really, just listen to, so you got to read. But it's a great game.
As when we sat down to watch Demon Slayer one time, Dalan, we sat down and Dalan saw the English. Dalan saw the English subtitles come. Was like, I gotta read. So I don't mind, but you sure seem like you were minding sitting down for a Japanese language film in the theater, Dalan. But that's okay. We'll move on. Look, I gotta mess with this game. I've heard enough about it. Trust me, I gotta bump it up the queue. Now, I did find out. I just remembered. My Game Pass is expiring in a week, so I got so I got Game Pass, a couple games. I think it's Requiem. What else am I trying to play? Atomic Heart, maybe Hi-Fi Rush. I got a couple things to play before that thing expires. But
Requiem, Plague Tale?
Rat Tail 2.
Wait, isn't that on the Xbox right now?
Yeah, Game Pass. That's what I'm saying. Game Pass is about to run out. Okay. My Plus Supreme, I think, is good for a little while longer. I'm just playing unnecessary games because it's fine. It's worth the $15 a month or whatever. But no. They're not gonna get my cash that easily. All right, Dalan. Anyways, next thing on here, the people that might get my cash, I don't know how easily, because I might have to consider a fast pass. But The Last of Us is coming to Halloween Horror Nights, September 7th to Hollywood, September 1st at Universal Orlando Resort. So a little earlier over there for our Florida fans. There's also, as far as The Last of Us is concerned, the 10-year anniversary of the first game just came up. And another quick little note, Pedro Pascal, as far as The Last of Us HBO series, he says he hasn't seen the finale. He said it, quote unquote, hurts too much. Luis, let's go to you, man.
Because he hasn't played the game.
He hasn't played the game. That was a thing, right? Was that a thing today?
Yes, that was a thing. He didn't play the game.
Which I think is good. He still did a great job, I feel, as far as The Last of Us. Luis, Last of Us Halloween, 10-year anniversary, Pedro Pascal. I don't know if you want to talk about each one of those points or just whatever.
Congratulations to Naughty Dog, 10 years for a franchise, and they've only released 2 games in that time frame. So like we were talking about last week, well, 2 of those games, I guess, from that franchise.
Yeah, I was going to say, they released last Uncharted.
But to the point of, I forget who you were talking about last week that says, it was some guy at Xbox, I believe. that it's taking longer to make games. Like,
Yeah.
it's taking a very long time,
Matt
right?
Booty, I think, said it's 5 years
okay.
at least. 5 years at least for these games now.
But yeah, congrats to them. Great franchise. And every year, like I've said before, I go to Halloween Horror Nights, and every year I get a front of the line pass. It's a must. You have to do it. Add it to your cost, Carlos. It's worth it.
If I go, I have to, man, because it's you stand in line to
For
stand
an
in line,
hour.
man, for
You
2
stand
hours.
in
No,
line
for
for
like
an
2 hours.
hour.
Some of these, for like 2 hours. Some of these. That's how ridiculous it is, man.
And then
And
it's like
keep
a
in mind-
3-minute walk.
Yeah, keep in mind though, this pass also works for the rides, so you can do the rides as well.
I appreciate that. I appreciate how it's like 3 times the cost of admission to buy a fast pass, but that's fine. But I kind of wanted to see some Last of Us. Maybe we plan it, Luis. Maybe we go together. I don't know. Maybe. You know, we'll figure that out. I know the child wants to go, so I can't get out. But see, that's the thing. When I go to these places, it's not just me paying for it. It's the cost of one person times 3. So it's kind of like it's pretty rough. But
Hey,
it's
does
gotta
it work
be-
for the Mario rides?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I
That's
don't
kinda
know. There's nothing released the
Kinda-
details.
kind of interesting. But anyways, that's kind of exciting. Last of Us, Halloween Horror Nights. These guys, they're pretty good at getting you to go, right? They're like, what's the cool thing right now? Let's do it. And people are like, fuck, I gotta go. I gotta do it. Next thing on here real quick is that I know we've talked about plenty, so I'll just make it real quick. But Microsoft, this was an interesting wrinkle, I feel, because I don't know if you guys saw. We might have mentioned it last week, but I think we might have mentioned it, and Luis, you were like, this needs to be over with because I've heard enough about it. But the latest wrinkle is, of course, that the FTC, as far as the Activision-Blizzard acquisition, Activision acquisition, is that the FTC is putting in a preliminary injunction, and Microsoft told the judge if it actually goes through, the deal is likely dead. So we've kind of been talking about how this thing, it's gonna go through, but the fact that and it could also be a play, right? It could also be a potential play where it's like, hey, you know, if you make this go through, this shit is dead, right? So it could potentially be that, but I don't know. That's what Microsoft is saying, that if this thing goes through, then that's it and that's all. But we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough, because we've heard enough about it, right? It's been like a year and a half or something.
It's been a while, yeah.
It's been a good while, so we'll see if this is Microsoft's like a little gamesmanship, right? Like, it's like, you really want to kill this, judge? You really want to kill America? You really want to kill capitalism? You know, that kind of thing. So we'll see. The next thing we have on here is that Callisto Protocol Story DLC, the quote-unquote final chapter, is going to drop at the end of July. It's going to be exclusive on PlayStation for 48 hours, which I thought was kind of interesting. I re-rented this game daily. I think all of us did, or maybe Luis actually, I think you might have bought it, right, Luis? But I think I rented it, beat it, and send it back. I don't know if I'll come back to it. I don't know. There's too many things going on. But hey, final chapter. Maybe it's on sale or something, and I might be interested enough. But Luis, what do you make of this, man? You do have the game, right? You do have the game there, so it's easy as just
I
reinstall.
have it, yeah. I just haven't gone back to it. But yeah, it's just that's a weird time frame. I don't know who decided what the logistics of that.
It's been a while since the game came out.
Yeah, it's
like,
gonna be
all of a sudden.
It's gonna be
know.
7 months, almost 8 months at the end of July, right? So
I'm wondering if that time frame was sort of like a play from Sony's part of like, we're willing to pay this much, right? Because the game didn't perform that well, blah blah, whatever, this, that, and then they're like, fine, we give you 2 days for that price or some shit.
they're like, yeah, we'll give you $1 million for 2 days. That's
But yeah,
cool.
it's
I don't
just
know.
sad, like thinking about this game that like there's less and less room for error for developers. Like if a game comes out and the launch is terrible, like it's dead. It's basically dead. It's very rare that
Dead
a game
on
actually
arrival.
comes back from that. So I'll get to this eventually. I'll get to it eventually, but it's just not based off what I heard, just not priority, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, but I think games have been like that for a long time. I think, right? If the launch isn't good, it's likely. I think the success stories are less probable, less likely to happen, right? Like a PUBG or a Fortnite, where it's like, oh, let's just copy PUBG. Let's just, where it's like, oh, they get revitalized, right? I think those are rare exceptions to the rule, right? But I think for the most part, pretty much every game is like, if you didn't hit it strong, if you didn't hit the ground running or whatever it is, it's going to be really tough to recover. I mean, even Babylon's Fall, man, at some point, we have one person playing our game. We need to shut this shit down. I mean, we've seen enough. We've seen enough of this. This man getting interviewed at Kotaku for being the last person alive on this server or whatever it was, you know? So, yeah, it's kind of tough. But it is kind of weird, right? It's one of those things where it's like, we have it. Somebody play it, please. It's like, there's a lot of stuff out there. And it's the summer, right? The summer coming around. People are busier, that kind of thing. So I think this is just going to get lost, right? And Sony was like, we'll pay for 2 days. Kind of like what you were saying, right, Luis? Dalan, what do you think?
If this final chapter is the official ending for this game, I might end up hating Striking Distance because the last game I remember that happening with was Ashura's Wrath. I don't know if you remember, but when that game dropped, it felt incomplete. And like, I don't know, 2-3 years later, they were like, let's sell the ending for this game as DLC.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a hateful thing to do. I don't give a damn if you got 48 hours.
I don't give a damn if you have 48 hours. Yeah, I do remember Asura's Wrath, and I think I might have. I don't know if I GameFlyed or rented it somehow, but I think I rented the game. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play for the DLC. I mean, I rented the game, I guess. But yes, Asura's Wrath was this one. I think it had an ending. I think it's more of probably gonna be an epilogue, right? Because it was sort of pretty much an ending from Protocol. I won't spoil it.
Why couldn't it just be a part of the game to begin with?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like this is like an epilogue, whereas Asura's Wrath, it wasn't an epilogue. The DLC was literally, you needed it to see the ending of the game. So those guys were even more scandalous. But I did it, man. Somewhere in my PlayStation log or Xbox 3, maybe I was playing it on 360. There's Asura's Wrath DLC for some reason that I bought at some point. But the next thing we have on here is that Mohamed Alavi, he was a former Titanfall 3 developer. He said he worked on the sequel for Titanfall for 10 months before cutting it in favor of Apex Legends. The game was only quote-unquote incrementally better, but not quote-unquote revolutionary, and that's according to IGN. So yeah, I know I've talked about it before. I know people were completely enamored with Titanfall 2's campaign. I thought it was a very good campaign. I don't know if it was like world-changing and mind-blowing as many people make it out to be, but it was pretty decent. So I would have played it. I would have played another Titanfall campaign. I would have been interested in that. But what do you make of this, Dalan, that they were like, we're just going to keep working on Apex Legends here? we don't need to keep working
I think they shifted gears to Apex Legends. But my thing is even though they made the right decision financially, I would have loved to have seen a Titanfall 3. In the long run, I do hope they go back to make a Titanfall 3. Because I may not have beaten the campaign for Titanfall 2, but I played a good chunk of it, and it was honestly fun. I just ended up having some financial issues at the time, and I stepped away from video games for a short period.
Okay,
that's a long story.
Okay, if you want to dig into that, see, this one's interesting. This is not you like, well, first there was Street Fighter 1. Then there was 2. Then there was 3. This was kind of interesting. It's like, wait, hold on. What happened here? You couldn't beat Titanfall?
I'm moving on.
Okay, now you want to move on.
I probably should go back to play 2, but I definitely hope they go back to make a 3. Especially now, as far as we've come with technology, I'm ready for them to throw extra shit, especially with all their practice that they've had with Apex Legends.
All right, but Apex Legends makes a little too much cash, man. It's just like
I know. It's like, do they need to make a Titanfall? Yeah, maybe. I'm saying expand your library.
Which is funny to think like how successful they must be, where you don't really hear about Apex Legends that much, man. But they must be busy enough. But it's one of those things why we never will get a full like Half-Life 3 is because they're doing Valve. That's their business now. Is the Valve store. Next thing we have on here is that GTA Online removed 180 cars and they moved them behind paywalls. Quote unquote, fans are furious. This is according to Kotaku headline over there. But look, you guys are true fans, or at least Luis. We'll go to Luis first on this one. I know he's a true GTA fan. He's actually been playing the game, unlike these Kotaku headliners over here. But Luis, what do you make of this, man? Is this really that big of a deal, or have you seen the change? Have you seen?
Has it impacted?
How has it impacted your life, your GTA Online?
It doesn't because I have GTA Plus, so
okay.
I have access to those cars.
But that's what happened, right? They put them behind
cars that were in just the catalog, and because they just added this feature, called the Vinewood Car Club, I think. So it's supposed to be this like exclusive sort of car dealership. And I kind of understand their move of having to put cars there because otherwise they would have had to create hundreds, or tens of cars to put in there, which they probably don't have the development time for right now, since they're working on GTA 6. But
that's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care. Move everything and paywalls. I don't care. Work on GTA 6. That's my response.
This is one of those things though that I don't believe that fans are gonna go out in equal measure or greater and be like, yeah, we love the move. This is great. We love the GTA Plus. So you're only gonna hear the fans that are furious, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what percentage of them there are, but it's my point of view, which is probably not the best, is if you wanted the cars, you would have probably bought them already. This game's been out for 10 years. So
you don't lose access. You don't, like, if you have these cars out of the 180 you really want, they don't take them away just because they're moving them from one thing to another or whatever.
Like, they're just moving them behind the paywall. It's like, okay, if you want them now, you have to have GTA Plus and access the Vinewood Car Club.
Now, let's say you didn't have the GTA Plus thing. Would you be upset? If you didn't have that, if you're like, all right, I'm not going to get the GTA Plus, would this be a little upsetting to you, or what do you...
I mean, I would have to see all the cars that are there. I haven't seen all of them, but if there was one car I really wanted that much, I'd drop $6 on a month and then just go ahead and buy it, or a bunch of them, and move on with my life.
Okay. Now, the GTA Plus thing, the things you get out of that pass, you keep them even after that lapses if you decide not to pay for it?
Yes, I could answer that.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, because I'm not sure, because this is the first time that I believe they've had anything like this, that like you need GTA Plus in order to buy this thing. You can get money, or you get like a free weapon or something, but it's not something that you actually buy. So I don't think they would take it away. That's not like a PlayStation Plus sort of situation.
Okay,
so.
Got you. Dalen, what do you make of this, man? Are you gonna be convinced to get whatever GTA Plus? Man, just work on GTA 6, man. Hey, stop. Hold up. Dalen, put the camera on me, man. Stop logging into GTA 5. Don't worry about this paywall at 180 cars. Stop logging into it. Sorry, Dalen. Continue.
Nah, you made me laugh because Luis partially said it, but it made me think, for those people that didn't have GTA Plus and they're out there like, man, I ran out of time. I had aspirations to buy this $200,000 car in the game, and now I can't do it without buying PlayStation Plus. Like, really, if you didn't get the car beforehand, you obviously are never going to get the car, even if you do have GTA Plus. So
you were never that serious about it in the first place.
You weren't serious about it in the first place.
Gotcha. Anything else on that, Dalen? You're good.
At this point, the one smart move about it, especially if you're a new GTA player, is it would get Rockstar more money, especially if they are like a completionist type person and they want to like get all the cars. They pay the money to actually be able to actually get into that car club, and it's neither here nor there to them because they didn't have to worry about it before. But now they're in this game, they're gonna pay for it. They're gonna get their cars.
But they shouldn't, right? And they should stop logging in because of.
I bet you at least 175 cars of those were trash.
You're probably right, honestly.
And they're like, I want that trash. I want access to this.
The more money they get, the more money they have to develop GTA 6. So go out there and get yourself GTA Plus.
Even if you don't play the game, just rent it.
Fucking catch 22 over here, man. Just stop logging in. And guess what? It's going to light a fire under their ass because they're going to be like, we don't have any more money from GTA 5. We need to make the next thing. All right, so please stop logging in. Don't worry about these cars. That Dalen rightfully put it probably. They're trashboy.com. You don't even want them in the first place. Next thing we have on here, hoping that this might be something people want, is that Overwatch is going to add 3 co-op PvE story missions next season, and it's going to be $15. I don't think I saw the internet blow up too much about this, but I'm sure, what do you think, Lisa? $15 seems kind of reasonable for some co-op PvE story missions, or what do you think of this?
No, because from what I remember, that was the whole reason they stated they were going to create Overwatch 2 and stop supporting Overwatch 1. It was supposed to be, you're going to get PvE and you're going to get PvP, and from what I remember, PvE was going to be included with the game. So now they canceled all the PvE stuff they had planned recently, and now they're releasing these 3 missions and saying give us $15 for it. So people are like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So at the same time, it's like I'm excited to try it out, but I'm like, oh, but you guys made a promise.
You lied to me. But you lied.
So
to
now
me.
fans are mad about Overwatch. They shouldn't be mad about GTA. They should be mad about this.
This is a little like to you. You feel lied to, Luis, on this one right here. Like they just straight up lied to your face.
It's like $20 for a damn dungeon key in Destiny.
And I just gave up and I said, yes, I'm going to give you $100 every time a thing comes out. Whatever, Bungie.
Yeah, I'm not going to fall behind like that.
Whatever,
I'm not going to get caught up like that again.
No, they caught me. They caught me because I was spending $40. No. Now I'm spending $100. So they definitely got me, all right? They get you one way or another, man. They either get you with the key when you least expect it, or they're just like, they're just going to pay the whole amount up front. So whatever, man. I like Destiny. Next thing we have on here is that Embracer, they did say they had a bunch of layoffs. I think we've talked about it. I don't know if this last podcast or one of them, but it definitely was one of those Succession things in real IRL. If you guys haven't seen Succession, where they're trying to get this big acquisition done and they're like, can we do it? Are we going to sell? Are we not? And I like that the CEO was like on TV or whatever. It was like, this deal didn't go through. Like he was very upset that this big old $1 billion deal didn't go through. So they had a bunch of mass layoffs. And one of the quotes that came out of it is that they said, quote, "We need to be exploiting Lord of the Rings in a very significant fashion." And just to let you know, this is how all these game companies are talking about your favorite games, right? Like all of them, Destiny, Overwatch, Diablo, whatever it is. These companies, all they're thinking about, how do we exploit them in a very significant fashion? Just this guy just happened to say it out loud, right? The quiet thing out loud or whatever. But that's what they're thinking. So they need to exploit Lord of the Rings, and I'm sure they will. They'll get that going at some point. But I know Crystal Dynamics, because they're a part of this Embracer group as well. They came out and they're like, hold on, there's gonna be no impact to Perfect Dark and the next Tomb Raider that we're working in collaboration with Amazon Games. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there that this is not just Embracer. It's all these companies.
I forgot about Perfect Dark, man. That thing was announced like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
years ago?
And it was a good game.
At the same time as the Metroid Prime remake.
And guess what, Luis? Guess what? Because you said it about GoldenEye, right? You said it about GoldenEye before, but Perfect Dark is GoldenEye, but good. Like, they actually made a good game finally. That one actually, I don't know how much it holds up, right? And the 360 version was kind of trash boy as well. They haven't been good to the Perfect Dark series, but Perfect Dark on N64 was a damn decent game. Even though you needed that little expansion, that little red expansion pack to play anything on it. I think to play the campaign, you could play the multiplayer, but the campaign, you needed that little pack to it. But yes, so Crystal Dynamics quickly came out like, Perfect Dark, Tomb Raider, everything's good. Just Embracer's dealing with some shit, and they got to figure out how they're gonna make money off of Lord of the Rings. Apparently, just want to mention that. We'll get into what you've been playing. Luis, what have you been playing, man? What have you been playing this past week or so?
This one kind of took me by surprise because I was playing Honkai Star Rail sort of passively, kind of logging in to do the daily login every day, but not that much, like in depth. And about 2 days ago, randomly, I caught myself, I was like playing it for hours, like on my iPad. Like,
okay, nice.
Let me do this quest, let me do that quest, let me go talk to this person, let me go to this planet, let me go here. And yeah, I've only dropped, like I stated earlier, $5 on it. Not that much, but this is one of those games where you're sort of meant to, if you want to get what you want, you need to drop cash on this.
Now, what's the $5 you spent? Because look, it's just wacky. I hope the industry doesn't go in this direction, but there's a bunch of hits. There's Genshin Impact. There's games that have been successful at this kind of I don't know the way that it plays out, right? That you have to pay cash. But what did you spend $5? Like, why did you feel,
Well, this game, to that point, real quick, they just announced that Honkai Star Rail cracked, what was it, $1 billion? Or something? It was some crazy number that just happened. So these are the same guys that developed, what was it, the one you just said?
Genshin
Impact.
Okay.
But yeah, $5 on just like, it's like this sort of daily check-in you do, and they essentially give you the currency to buy these things that allow you to unlock characters. So every day you log in, it gives you like an amount for it. It's $5 and it gives you it for 30 days.
The same thing for Genshin Impact. You pay the $5 and you'll get some of it every single day for those 30 days. But you don't need to pay the $5. You could go out and earn it if you play the game every day and go do the daily mission.
Yeah, I'm doing both. But yeah, I did recently realize, because this is like day 15 into that thing that I bought, that you could get that currency pretty quickly in the world. You don't need this 30-day sort of purchase.
The problem is the time it takes. You said you got caught up doing it for hours.
This is true. That's a good point.
Well, and that's part of the... Look, I think... Look, I'm not an anti-pay your way to save time, honestly. When it's about saving time, it's cool. But sometimes it's a little, I feel like, insidious, where they're like, well, we're making it so you're like, it wastes so much time, but I could just save time if I just buy this one thing, right? So I feel like, unfortunately, that's part of the design a lot of times, right? I mean, I would have to play it, right, to kind of see the nuances, because I'm sure some do it better than others, right? And it's free to play, right? That's kind of the thing. It's like, well, it's free. Don't you want to pay a little bit to save time? Now, you did say iPad, but this is like out on PlayStation. And do you play it on other platforms or just on iPad?
It's out on PC.
Okay, I thought it was PlayStation.
Impact. It was a PC game too.
Okay. Now, is there cross-play? Is there cross-save if you want to play on PC or?
Yeah, it's all
my question.
Okay.
My question is there true co-op, or do you have to hit level 20 before you can be co-oping?
I don't know if there's any co-op, honestly, because I haven't reached that point in the game. I'm level like 24 right now. And I haven't seen anything that's like, do co-op here or do co-op there. The one thing I have seen is that you can like sort of put this what do they call the traveler? Basically they're heroes in like a slot that people can then borrow, I guess. Like random people will borrow to help them do a mission, and then you get like credits or whatever based off of them using your...
You mean like Dragon's Dogma?
Maybe. I never played that game. So.
You'd have to play that one. You'd have to play that one, dude. What else? And you're in, Luis. You're into this game. Like you're gonna. Continue.
I'm fully in.
What?
I don't feel like they put you in a corner though. Going back a little bit to like, you need to buy this. Like you can totally beat the game without spending a single dollar in this thing. It's more like they create these events that are only there for a limited amount of time, and they're like, you can only get these items or this character during like these 2 weeks. So it's like, if you don't get enough of those cards to unlock them, then you missed your shot. So I think that's kind of the way that they get people to spend money to give themselves more chances to get that.
What else you been messing with, please?
Still going on Red Dead 2, taking it slowly, like I said, but I think doing that kind of broke the game. It feels like my game has been broken since I did this one mission that... Do you guys remember the game where you're supposed to go find the Reverend that was like drunk playing poker and he almost gets run over by a train?
Yeah.
Nope. I got past the snow, and after the snow melted, and that was the next season, I put the game down, never went back.
You gotta pick it up, Dalan. You gotta pick it up.
This happens just after that, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mission, I was bringing him back to camp, and then as I was putting him down on his like bed, his tent like disappeared, because it was the one that I upgraded, that you have to like get all these resources and upgrade everyone's camp things.
They weren't ready for that upgrade.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's weird. And I'm guessing the game just wasn't prepared for that to be there yet. And ever since then, the whole game has kind of like been buggy.
Okay, reasonable. Very. You're playing on PC or on PlayStation? What do you?
I'm on PlayStation.
Okay, okay, reasonable. Like it's too many. It's too upgraded. This campsite it's not ready.
Whoa. You're not supposed to do this yet, basically.
Okay, reasonable. You're not following a guide or anything, right? You're just kind of doing things at your own pace or whatever.
And as I'm doing them, like I mentioned last week, I'm getting trophies that I'm like, wait, I didn't do that already? Like that's so easy. So it's still kind of just going all
it's probably, I think, why PlayStation has put those little like percentages on the trophies, right? Like how far you are away from them. Because some stuff, well, I don't know if that's exactly what you're referring to, but sometimes like some of these trophies, like, oh, I just needed to do this one thing. I had already been doing it. I just didn't do it enough or whatever it was. And like some of the trophies on PlayStation that they updated, it was like, oh, you're 92%. I'm like, Maybe I do want to try to stab that zombie from 35 meters away. Maybe I do want to try that. You know, that kind of thing.
No, I haven't looked at the list yet. Yep, it was a long weapon throw, man. That's the point.
We figured it out.
I haven't looked at the list to see, like, I should probably, because I'm probably gonna get to a point where I'm like, damn, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like me playing the game, not even looking at anything, and then I get a trophy. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I just never did that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that game's got to be such a different vibe too, man. When I played it, it was like, this is a long ass game, but Critical Path, and that Critical Path takes a long time, so I can't even imagine, like, let me just leisurely play through it. Let me just vibe with it. So that's got to be a whole different situation. Anything else on that, Luis, or you're good for what you've been playing? As far as what I've been playing, I finally got dipped into Tears of the Kingdom, and on a hardware system that's like way older than the 2017 year that the Switch came out. This thing runs smooth as hell, man. They're still kind of pumping out like some decent smooth gameplay on this. I think maybe it's just a matter of like just how masterful they are, right? The developers that, you know, going back to Game Boy and Nintendo and Super Nintendo and all that, Nintendo were the best at the hardware because they made the hardware with like intentions of like, we're gonna make this type of game. This is what we wanted to run, right? But Tears of the Kingdom is nice. I didn't get too far into it, but I got into the gummy section already where you're kind of sticking shit together, and I'm like, I can see how people can get wacky with this shit. I can see how there's gonna be, penises swinging around randomly and shit. I can see how they can do this stuff. So I can't wait to, it's kind of my to-go game, right? Like, if my boss is listening, only on my breaks and at lunch am I playing this game. All right, so I don't have that much time, but I'm having fun with it. I can see myself getting really into it. And the first one, Breath of the Wild, I didn't exactly use a guide, but I wouldn't let myself get stuck too much, if that makes sense. Like, I'd be like, I'm going to try to figure this out, and after I'm like, whatever, man, what's the solution to this thing? So I did that with Breath of the Wild because I was like, I was never going to get through it. So this one's going to...
I did that too.
I'm sorry? You did that too? I
think I did that too, yeah.
Okay. But this one, I try to, if a game is new, like pretty recent, and it's still, I try not to do that. I try really hard not to do it. So with this one, I'm definitely going to try to solve everything with my own little brain here. And the other thing I've been playing is Street Fighter 6. I was trying to play through the World Tour mode because it looked kind of wacky or whatever, but I kind of fucking hate it. All right. I don't like that you're like level 1 and going up against a level 4 or 5, and it's just random characters and they can all beat you up very quickly, and not because they're beating you skill wise or because you're not good enough at the fight. It's like, no, it's because they're just a higher level, and I'm like, I don't want to keep leveling. I'm done with this shit. Like I mentioned earlier, I was like, to get to Sheng Long, I think I got to like level 16, like my character's like level 16 or something. To get to Sheng Long, you have to be a level 95, and there's gonna be a bunch of like level 90 enemies, and apparently you can beat the game way less of a level than 90 something. So I'm like, I'm not gonna grind up to like level 90 something. So whatever it was, I quit World Tour mode and I just went to the story mode, where it's kind of like you play through each character's story, which is just kind of storyboards and a little bit of audio dialogue and stuff. I played through all the characters. What surprised me is, I mean, maybe I should know this. Maybe you know this as a Street Fighter fan, Dalan. But to me, it was like, all these characters are pretty damn fun to play with. And they all have like their own little cool move set. I hope that makes for a balanced game. But we're gonna find out, man. I'm waiting for you to get your copy of the game.
I have it.
But otherwise, I'm done. Oh, you have it. You have it now.
Yes,
today.
I picked. I grabbed it on Saturday. I was just too busy.
I was gonna say the USPS did not respect Juneteenth and delivered to you today. But yeah, okay. You've had it since Saturday, Dalan. What's going on here, man? We could have been battling. You didn't tell me. And anyways, this is an off-wax conversation.
I'll chat. He can't though, because the first fight he's gonna have is against Jonathan, and he's gonna whoop his ass.
Ooh, hey, let's do it. I hope. Look, I gotta put this podcast together. There's a lot going on, but let's get at least like 1 or 2 matches in today, then, because I gotta know if I gotta return this to GameFly. If I gotta lie, to GameFly and tell them I returned it to them or not. You know what I'm saying? Don't listen, GameFly.
Carlos, I hope you appreciate the fact that this what's the name of the Street Fighter mode that you did
World Tour.
The World Tour mode. It's basically Tekken Force mode, but Street Fighter. And then Tekken was like, you know what? People are getting tired of this mode. Let's just remove it. Street Fighter was like, oh, they removed it. Let's take it off their hands.
Well, mistakes for me. I don't know. I think some people are having fun with it, but I hate it, man. It's kind of cool that you're sort of in this world where you're walking around, but it's really only one like realized world, not fully realized, just a little mini world of New York, and all the other levels just have levels. So you're just going to the levels, but New York is the only one that's sort of semi there, I guess, that actually is a little realized. But I'm ready, man. Let's get some matches in. Let me find out. If this is another version of Mario Kart, then this shit's getting sent back immediately. If I can actually keep up with you a little bit, even to where it's fun, I'll consider keeping it. But we'll see.
It's been a long time.
The other thing is, but I like it, man. I do like it. It's a very smooth game. The graphics are pretty, all that stuff. Like, all the characters are pretty cool. So Street Fighter 6. The other thing is, I did dip my toes into Diablo 4, which... There's some pretty cutscenes in that game, man. That thing is amazing as soon as it comes in. But I do appreciate once this beautiful, beautiful cutscene ends, then you get into like PS2 era graphics or whatever. I was like, what the fuck? What is this? What is this? No, well, I mean, I understand the isometric view, right? That's Diablo. But it looks a little rough, man. Like, those graphics look a little rough, and it's like... But I still like it. It's still very much like a click-heavy game, right? Just keep clicking or whatever. But even on PlayStation, you just hold X. You hold X every so often. You dodge. I like how like the first enemy encounter or the boss encounter I had, I was like, okay, dodge. My dodge ran out. I was like, oh, he's gonna attack me now. Let me just run around him real quick. Like, it's very. I think it gets more complicated. We'll see. I'm pretty sure it does. But so far, it's very simplified. I guess it's teaching me the mechanics, but like I said earlier on the podcast, my Game Pass is expiring, so I think that one's gonna be put on the shelf for a little bit until I get through some of these Game Pass games that I've been kind of ignoring. Dalan, we'll get to you, man, before we get to our zinger. We actually have a zinger this episode, but what have you been working on this past week, game wise?
Well, honestly, again, life has been getting in the way, so I haven't had a lot of time. But after our last podcast, I did tell you that I was going to go and continue to play Humanity. As promised, I did not look up any videos for it, but I did platinum Humanity.
Okay.
Night. I did it that night. I stayed up till 3 a.m. platinuming that game.
I think you told us about this last week, Dalan. We got to go check back on Wax, but you got a new wrinkle to the story.
No, I told you about it off Wax, Carlos.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But I wanted to make sure the world knew I held up my end of the bargain. So you need to go back and platinum that game.
Nobody was holding you to it. Nobody made no deal as far as like, I'm going to go I gave up as soon as I got to the last level. I was like, fuck this. I'm not getting no kind of platinum in this. This is not happening.
Honestly, it's pretty platinumable. It's very platinumable. It's very easily platinumable, especially if you know where to place the arrows and the things to be able to get all your little bands through it without dying. But it was honestly a fun little puzzle game. Just like I keep forgetting the name of it. You remember the name of it better than I. No, monochrome.
Oh, Echochrome.
Echochrome.
Right,
yeah. It's just like Echochrome, except you're paying little people. You get little superpowers for your little people.
No, I mean it's a cool game, but I just didn't have patience for it, right? Like at some point, like I can't. Even with the fast forward button, it's like I just can't wait for these mans to get to where they need to go, and I gotta flip the arrow, and
sometimes you just watch all your people die while you're trying to do it.
Yeah, I understand you're saying it's platinumable, but no, the Dead Island 2 was platinum. At some point, you're like, I just gotta get over this hurdle. I gotta figure out how to make this count, and then after that, it's like, all right, yeah, I'll platinum this. I had fun. I actually had fun with Humanity. I can see myself pulling my hair out and being like, I'm done with this. Like I said, I was done as soon as I played the last level. I was like, I'm done with this game. I beat it. I saw it. I saw Humanity.
Other than that, I played a little bit of Destiny 2 and Rocket League, and I'm gonna also put this on wax for the both of us. Psyonix needs to really figure out what they're doing with their prizes for people, because they've been a little whack lately.
Yeah.
Because that little, even though you got that laser show, which is wacky as hell, we still need better experience.
Well, every time I see the laser, like, we're talking about Rocket League, by the way, right? If people don't know.
Yeah.
But every time I make a goal, I see the laser animation come through. Like, fuck, I gotta remember to change that. I don't like it. I don't like it. So, and last season they had like the flower lotus. Like, this is whack, man. They gotta work harder. 2 seasons ago, that I guess I'm in the Rocket League pass now, like forevermore. I'm gonna just keep buying the passes now, the season passes. It was nice. You get the frozen and the lava level, and it becomes, the whole level. Even our buddy Abel played one time. I was like, ooh, the whole level turned into lava. He was even impressed. I was like, yes, it's impressive. It's more impressive than lasers and flowers coming out of the goal. But look, Dalan, speaking of real life stories, we know this one's for you, Dalan. This one's special for you, but you are McDonald's man, true and true. I think that's the phrase. You bleed yellow, right? You just the thing people say, right? Like
I think that's the color.
You bleed
the golden arches, good sir.
You bleed golden arches. All right, so you bleed gold. So Grimace is celebrating a birthday, right? And when the Grimace celebrated his birthday, McDonald's did they have actually a Game Boy Color game. Well, I think it's a ROM. You can play. It's free to play. You can play on your computer, but it will actually run on a Game Boy Color. Not only that, but they came out with some nasty looking purple shake. Can you please tell us, Dalan, as far as your life living at McDonald's during Grimace's birthday, it had to be amazing. It had to be an incredible place to work during this time.
For the Game Boy game, unfortunately, we didn't get any of those at our location, but we were aware of them, so we were upset that we didn't get those.
They actually had. I don't think they had physical copies.
I don't think there's actual cartridges, but you could download it and it'll work on your Game Boy.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, no wonder we didn't get it. I was very confused.
You guys are at McDonald's. You're at McDonald's corporate and you don't even know.
It's real. No, our managers were saying that it's real. So that was a little confusing. But in regards to this Grimace shake thing, it's berry flavor. They couldn't tell me which berry it was the flavor of, but it's purple, berry? Obviously. So I was like, boysenberry. Like, yeah, it's mixed berries.
It tastes like Fruity Pebbles, man. It's delicious.
Dude, to me it tastes bland as hell. I tried it. I was like, this don't taste good at all. I'd rather just.
But it's not available anymore because Luis just convinced me on getting a McFlurry the other day. He was like, I'm just off wax. When we were off wax, he's like, I just got my strawberry shortcake McFlurry. I was like, damn, I wanted to order it. I had to get one the next day.
No, the Grimace shake is available, but you have to get it in the birthday meal. So you either need to get the Big Mac meal or the 10-piece nugget meal. That's the only way you're going to get the Grimace shake.
Maybe that's what I'm doing tomorrow. When does it run out? When does this run out? When does this deal run out?
End of the month, so you're running out of time, man.
You're running out of time. Luis, what do you make of this wackiness, man? Oh, well, you tried it. You tried the shake. But what about the game?
It's amazing. I thought it was amazing. I had it yesterday, dude. Got myself a Big Mac combo. And I take the Fruity Pebble magic in
the Fruity Pebble magic.
I thought it was amazing.
It bursted in his mouth, the Fruity Pebble magic.
Like Pop Rocks.
Phrasing.
But to be clear, it wasn't like it was crunchy or anything. It was just to me, it tasted like Fruity Pebble milk. Like when you're done eating Fruity Pebbles and you're like,
that sounds nasty.
You don't like cereal milk, dude? What's wrong with you?
Sounds so nasty.
Carlos Macias, the master of ceremonies, or what did you say, Dalan? Something.
Confusion.
Oh, master of confusion. But I hope I didn't hurt myself in my confusion. Carlos Macias, Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you for making the time, Dalan. On this fair day of Juneteenth. Okay, thank you.
Just barely.
Just barely. And Luis Mendes on the wheels of steel. Thank you, sir. We'll see you guys next week. Latest.
On the flip side.
On the flippity flop. He said it bursted in his mouth. All the fruity flavor.